Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're joining us live, thank you for watching. If you're watching the recording, we are from the Canadian Schoolhouse. I'm Steph.
I'm Christine.
And we are here today to talk about unit studies. So before we do that, though, let's go through just a little bit about what's happening on at, oh, yes, I should, the stress-free homeschooling part two, unit studies and stress-free homeschooling. I have to admit, I haven't done a whole lot of unit studies with my kids
Yep.
because we're just kind of on a rhythm now. I have in the past, but after kind of doing a little research on some of our unit studies, especially that we have in Schoolhouse Teachers, I've kind of got a little renewed interest. It's like, oh, maybe I'm going to check this one out because there's a neat little approach to unit studies.
hmm
But first, Christine, why don't you go ahead and put on kind of some of the stuff that's happening around the old schoolhouse, the Canadian schoolhouse, and you go ahead and you just talk about them as you're going through the slides there.
So I created a video, so I'll have to pause it. So just if you're not on our mailing list, you'd want to sign up at thecanadianschoolhouse.com. And what that means is you'll be receiving a weekly email in your inbox, just full of articles that we think will be helpful to you. There's some spiritual encouragement as well,
Mhm.
and some featured items. So if we come across any sales that might interest you, or specific focused companies that are offering homeschoolers unique deals, all kinds of things like that, and any other special events that we might be holding, as well as our sister companies, the Old Schoolhouse and schoolhouseteachers.com. So
Mhm.
you don't want to miss out. So, and it's how we get to keep in contact with you. So if you're not on our list, definitely sign
Mhm.
up. And
And remember, I'll just point out, just popped in my
Mhm.
head there, with the emails, it's a way for us to connect to you, but it's also a way for you to connect to us. Know that any emails we
Yes.
send out, you can just reply to that with any
hmm
questions you have about homeschooling, anything we might have on the site, and we're just here to encourage you in any way. So feel anything, family life, homeschooling life, just reply to the emails. It's a really easy way to contact us.
Yep, we like reading your emails, so
Mhm.
anytime. And so also on the canadianschoolhouse.com, you will see a section called the writing up. It'll be on your menu bar at the top. And this is where, if you like writing, if you were ever, thinking about writing your homeschooling story to share with others, we would love to hear from you. And don't feel like you have to be an expert writer. We have editors over here, so just put your thoughts on paper or type them out, which is probably the best way, and send it on over to us. You can sign up at the Canadian Schoolhouse, and we do have a perk for you. For every 5 pieces published, you get a $50 giftogram,
Mhm.
and also it's an opportunity to get your teens writing.
Yeah.
This is a good example, and we'll be having a writing event coming up in the spring. So this is a good
Mhm.
opportunity to get those writing skills in, and they can put that on their resume for sure. So again, and there's a perk for that, the $50 giftogram. So that's an opportunity for you to get involved and expand
Mhm.
your writing skills. And what we have next, so I mentioned our sister company, schoolhouseteachers.com. And we'll be mentioning some of the resources available from here, but they are having a sale right now, and it's $90 for 9 months,
Mhm.
which is the cheapest that, since I've been with the company, this has been the cheapest that I've seen.
So
So
2
I
years.
think it's a really great deal, and Steph and I can tell you it's full of resources, and it's one
Mhm.
price for your entire family. You're not buying it per child, and if you know, homeschoolers, money is usually tight, and so this is a great way to get your homeschooling done, all in one place. So
Yeah.
Take advantage of that. The sale is on until January 31st, so you do have a few more days left. And that's it.
Great. It made me think, actually, just talking about schoolhouse teachers. You know what we're going to do? So we're actually going to give away one of our unit studies, and we're going to upload that. So one of the unit studies from schoolhouseteachers.com, and we'll upload that into the group. In fact, we were just discussing which unit study we would do. So we did determine it was going to be no, what was it we actually decided on?
Oh dear, I
Um,
lost the title. Hang on. It is called The Changing History Theories and How to Teach Them.
right.
So if you were having trouble just figuring out how to teach history,
Mhm.
this one is for you. Because not every subject is easy to to figure out. So
So this is so unit studies overall. If you're not familiar with that approach, it's it's kind of a way to put a whole bunch of different subjects in one topic, like in one. So for instance, this one being about history, and I should have that one open still, but I did think that I would share my screen here, and we can look at what those unit studies page looks like. You can actually go to that yourself. You don't have to be a member. In fact, I'm going to just pop that link right in here. So that should pop up on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're seeing it, wherever you're viewing this. And if you're viewing it afterwards, it should also be in the description of YouTube. So that is the unit studies page. You can go and check that out and just see all the different areas we have unit studies. But
mhm.
it's a really, actually, I think it's probably a popular process, really, for actually writing, designing a chorus. And what we have at Schoolhouse Teachers, it's not just one, or it's not even just like, say, our company people working on staff that are developing courses. That definitely happens as well, just so we can cover all those topics that get requested on there. But we actually have a lot of different lesson designers that have their courses on Schoolhouse Teachers. So that's kind of one of the cool things that I actually really like about Schoolhouse Teachers. It's not one format of learning. There's so many different ways, because we've got so many different lesson designers doing courses on there. One of those ways, though, is these unit studies. And unit studies is just going through a topic. So and so then it's kind of incorporating. You've got maybe one topic that you're covering and learning lots about that, but then you're incorporating, you know, writing, reading, with anything really. It can incorporate math. It can incorporate geography, history, drawing, any of those other elective kind of things. It can incorporate so many different subjects while you're getting, and from my understanding, again, I kind of said I haven't done a whole lot of unit studies, and actually haven't done them uh, at all, I don't think, really, in the last couple of years, like an actual unit study course. Although we do follow our interests sometimes, and then and just go learn about stuff on our own. And it's a little bit what a unit study is. It's just a little bit more formal way, instead of you finding the resources, instead of you maybe doing a few different searches online for it, or you coming up with ways to integrate different kinds of literature and different kinds of just approaches to the language arts subject. Then you can have this already, it kind of thing you just follow along with your kids. So have you done unit studies with your kids much, Christine?
I actually am sort of morphing into more of those, because yeah, it just, especially with multiple children, it just got harder and harder to, because now they're learning more and more the older they get. So
Hmm.
it was just a lot on me to have separate, okay, history, English, math, science, and Bible and everything else for
Hmm.
one kid, and then have a separate So every year I kind of bring some together. So right now I think they're only doing um math and English separately. Just and they do that regularly, and then now we just do unit studies for history and science. And
Hmm.
especially like I was sharing this at another event that I'm big on interest led learning, and so
Mm.
this is where like we've been on marine life for forever because it just they're so interested in it, and
Hmm.
they literally soak everything up. So whether we're watching National Geographic videos
Mm.
or YouTube videos, or my 6-year-old is just devouring any National Geographic book that he gets his hands on. Every time we're in the store, ooh,
Mhm.
look, there's another
Yeah.
one. And it's
Uh-huh.
like creepy creatures from the deep, or sharks, or dolphins, or water, different kinds of water. Like the sky's the limit. So yeah, if we can stay on one particular subject for an entire year, and it's
Uh-huh. I
great
can see
because they're
that.
loving it, and it's
Yeah.
easy for
Mhm.
me to. I don't have to. Oh, okay, what are we gonna do next? Because they're still interested in it, so why not,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what how unit studies are. You don't always have to go with the interest of your kids. Hopefully, it's
Yeah,
interest of either parent or
everybody.
child, right? Um, so sometimes they may be doing subjects they don't necessarily think are interesting, but doing it in a unit
Sure,
study kind of way, it actually makes it a little bit more interesting because you're not just stuck, sitting and doing workbook stuff. Like there could be that element of worksheets. Not saying that
sure.
I've seen that in some unit studies, but it just leaves it open to really exploring all the different avenues of learning because we learn whether we're little or big, whether we're children or adults. We learn in so many different ways, and it's a lot more engaging for us to have a opportunity to learn in a way that takes all the different parts of the way just our brains work. um, and I'd wondered too, it popped in my head about because I think you had a trip, you're right in the GTA in Toronto there. So you went to that marine place. I forget what they call it, but it's for
Yeah, it's
marine
called the Ripley's. So
Ripley's,
it's
right?
Ripley's
Uh,
Aquarium, and it
aquarium.
was just like he was just in wonder,
Yeah.
and yeah, and he wants to go again, and so I mean, take advantage of those kind of things because and
Hmm.
even the Toronto Museum has a section where um they kind of walk you through the evolution of life. So I was walking through it and I was like, okay. So
Yeah, probably
we're
not
just
the
gonna ignore the
worldview, right?
whole thousands and thousands
Uh-huh.
part, but it was a unique walkthrough to see, the different parts of the ocean and how it developed
Yeah.
into, the land mass had changed and all of those kind of things that science can back up and stuff. So
Hmm.
those were kind of good. And again, there was a whole section just on marine life and what that looks like now, and endangered species. Had to stop and talk about endangered species and all of that stuff. So yeah, it just makes it come alive.
Hmm. I think the stress-free homeschooling part is especially appealing to any homeschooler. I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure because we've got so much going on. I mean, especially if you're working as well, and both Christine and I do work. We work from home, but we work, right? We homeschool. We're the main people that's taking care of all the food and the shopping and the everything in our homes as well,
Hmm.
right? So it's a lot of different ways we get pulled, and it's awesome. Like for me, especially lately, I feel like God is strengthening me so much, and having me look back at, hey, you thought this was really hard to just do this and this, and now look at all the things you're doing now. And because in our weakness, that's where we get his strength from. So
Hmm.
so it is, however, we are still human. And we have ways, though, even with my boys, for their learning, like it is really a lot more self-directed, like them being self-directed, and I oversee. I get resources for them if they can't get them themselves. I kind of direct them on what courses they're taking, right? And then they can go through them, but it's very self-directed. And I find unit studies actually gives our kids because it's not just, lesson that they can go through on their own. I enjoy the opportunity that we're going to do one of these unit studies soon, and then we're going to really do it a little bit more together. But
Mhm.
even if I'm not there, right, my two boys can still do that together. So it's an
Mhm.
opportunity where you can have your older kids sort of leading your younger ones. And mine are
Exactly.
almost 12 and 15. So there's about 3 years apart, and they are. Sometimes I think it's 3 whole years apart, and then I think it's like it's only 3 years. Like they're really
They're
close
close
maturity
enough.
level
Yeah. Yeah.
in some areas.
Yeah.
um and that's just the nature of personalities, but they can still, they do hang out with each other most of the day, doing things together, playing games together, and doing lots of stuff together, and doing some of their learning together. So this is something that you can either, as the parent, be right in there and have that opportunity, to be learning along with your kids,
Mhm.
or it can still be something where if you have a child old enough to kind of be the leader, that's actually giving them a lot of great skills to be able to lead, even if it's just one sibling, but
Mhm.
it's actually a great opportunity to give them that responsibility. And I think it's what I might do a little bit, and just to change up their learning. It's like where you don't want to get in a learning rut, right? Just doing the
Yeah.
same thing all the time. So unit studies are great for that. I wanted to
Mhm.
I wanted to point out a couple of, so this is the fall magazine. We do have the winter issue out now, but there are a few, there's an actual section. Does it say it on the page with there's the homeschool stress free, but there is the section on unit
Unit
studies. So we've
studies.
got unit studies and science,
Mhm.
and then science unit studies using literature are the names of the articles in here, and you can get those for free. So you can get our wonderful, beautiful print magazine, which I love looking through. But I do look at the digital magazine a bit myself. I actually Actually, I probably only look at, if I wasn't working for the company, I maybe wouldn't look at the digital magazine because I'm a much more hands-on magazine person myself. So I do look at the digital magazine though to look for articles and look for specific topics, and so you can do that right on online, for free. To see the digital magazine, you can check it out. We've got an app for it on your device, so you can find that Apple or Android devices, TOS apps. You can just search the Old Schoolhouse Magazine, and you can find it
Mhm.
that way in your app store. But we have a few great ones in there, and then there was something. I'm gonna have to look back at my sheet here. There was something in the just the
From the
teaching
winter
multiple.
one.
Yeah, so the
Mhm.
teaching multiple grades. So this is our very wintry looking winter magazine that's just come out at the beginning of December. Um, and it has the article in there for um, teaching multiple grades, which is what unit studies are really good for. Um, and I don't know, what else did I want to share on that? You got something else in mind, Christine, as far as what we can do for? Mention that. Did I mentioned where that? But can you mention where that link is for the unit study that you can
Oh,
get
yeah.
for
It's
free?
uh it's it's uh, it's in our Facebook group, and I'll put the link back up for you. Let me hide this one in our Facebook. So our Facebook group is Homeschooling with the Canadian Schoolhouse. And if you're not a member, just search us up or just go to our homepage, which is Homeschooling Across Canada, and you can find the connect with the group that way. Actually, I could probably just put the link in there in the chat as well.
Oh yeah.
Um, so
Hmm.
so then you can just check our files section, and it should be a new post right now. So you
Hmm. Yeah,
shouldn't
it'll
miss
like
it right now if you go today or tomorrow whenever you're watching. But it'll be in the file section.
If you don't,
Okay.
if you don't see that if you don't see that post near the top, right? If some days have
Right.
gone by, or weeks, or months, or years, that file will still be there in the file section. So, you know what? I'm just kind of going through the winter magazine, and I just wanted to kind of do a little mention of, so Dr. Brian Ray, as you can see his picture there, he writes, I believe every single issue. He's got something in here. And this one does home proving, does home proving does homeschooling improve social competencies among children? And
Mm-hmm.
I really love reading all these articles from Dr. Brian Ray. He's a researcher, and he's a homeschooler, although his children are grown up now. But he's a homeschooler himself in the past. Him and his wife have homeschooled their children, and he is the main researcher out of the U.S. For homeschooling around the world, though. So you can actually go to his site, NHERI, NHERI. So the national. Let me actually just see if they've got the National Home Education Research Institute. So you could go to that site and get so much information just about research studies, like just real technical stuff on the benefits of homeschooling. And I really find this year, not just this year, but just overall, I found it really on my heart this year to really try to reach more people, more Christian families that have their kids in public education, and working on ways to be able to educate them themselves, because that public education system is there's an agenda there, and it's not about God at all, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if we have our kids growing up in that area, and when you hear studies, when you hear of, the percentage of kids that leave the church after, lots of times just after they leave the home, I think a lot of it is for that reason. They don't have that foundation of God, because they've been taught
That's
all
right.
these things that are actually history, geography, science, all these things that actually work to prove that God does not exist. And yet there is a
Mm-hmm.
whole world of science, like
Yep.
various resources of science, history, archaeology, that all actually gives us great proof of a God and a creator, right? A creator of us, a creator of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're learning a history, or um, about when you're learning about the world around you, and that's built on year after year after year, that agenda in public schools, um, when 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 that's what you're learning, of course it's going to be really hard to keep your faith, unless you've got really strong otherwise. I'm not saying completely you're not, but gosh, if there's any way where we can encourage families to see home education as more than just uh educating, because the actual educating, like really the math, the English, like learn to speak well, learn to write well, and learn to read well, right? If you've got those down, that is my highest priority with my kids.
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
then do that in a lot of different ways. But if they can do all those really well, they can actually really, I mean, they can just go on
They're
to the world,
good.
be well equipped to do anything they want to now, right?
Yeah.
And I will say I've got one son. He's 27 now, so he's been out of school for a while, but he did do the public education system, and he's a pretty decent reader because he enjoyed reading. I don't think he read that much that school provided for him, but
Mm-hmm.
he does not write well, and he speaks well in conversation. Of course, he's a great man. He's really, as far as what he's done after school, has been great. Very self-taught, and in actually a few different areas, he's got great skills right now. But still, he did not learn how to write well, and he did not learn how to really read. Um, I don't think he learned that critical thinking. He's learned that a little bit more as he's gotten older, I would say. But I've got that proof in my family, in my children, one of them, that that going through public school all those years certainly didn't prepare him in the ways that I think most of us want our kids to be prepared for, and also really didn't gave him a very skewed view of what learning is. So that's uh, that's my little plug for parent-led education.
Well, and
Um,
I think that's part of the stress-free homeschooling too,
yeah,
just knowing the reason, and we have to remind ourselves because we get overwhelmed with the
yep, we need
workload,
to.
and sometimes our kids' attitudes, and sometimes
Yeah.
our own attitudes where we don't feel like teaching those random days. But
Hmm.
when we remember why we kept them home, it
Hmm.
definitely takes the pressure off because we're not trying to be like public school for one,
Hmm.
and two, we have a different agenda. We have a different goal in mind for what we want for our children. And so when we stay focused on that, I mean, it really does take the pressure off your shoulders.
Hmm. It does. And the fact that we can have our kids, and actually, I just thought of that because I can hear your kids in the background, Christine, which is fine. Don't yell at them right now or anything. You can wait till after they're done. But it's the fact that, we can still even have a career, right? With our kids, not only just that they happen to be in the house and maybe making noise in the background, but more so that like your kids are seeing what you're doing for work, and that's now giving them the
Yep.
skills because they're learning by they learn by really seeing what we do a little
Hmm.
bit more than what we tell them to do, right? So they're seeing your work ethic, they're seeing they may not be that interested and know a lot what you're actually doing right now, but I find with
Hmm.
my kids, they're actually asking. My older one anyway, my 15-year-old, he kind of regularly asks me like what I'm doing. So I tell him,
Yeah.
if I'm
Yeah.
doing, I maybe writing something, or I may be doing something with email, like doing something with doing a live stream, and I let them know the topic we're talking on, right? As conferences come up and I'm planning that. I just did one for and a plug for the Canadian Online
Oh,
Homeschool
right.
Conference. I
I'm
wish
gonna
we
plug.
had
I'm gonna
uh
plug that in.
yeah, put the link to it. That's great. I wish we had one of the I just went through them last night. But anyway, we'll have some of that on our in our group and on our Facebook page. But I just recently did a session for that one, right? So they were actually really a big part of it. And I did a session a little bit inspired on just something that I wanted to do with my kids. So just one of those sessions in there. And you're able to watch this free during the event. So it's February 6th to the 10th.
You can
You
register now, though. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, registration just opened this week, didn't it? So go
Hmm.
ahead and register for that, and especially if you're just in that stage where you're considering homeschooling, maybe your kids are just younger right now, they're not even at that school age, or you're just considering that, hey, we need a change in our family, right? Maybe it's because the kids need to be out of there, maybe because you're feeling convicted that that what they're getting in school is not really benefiting them as much as what you could give them as a parent. um, and definitely truth, you can give them, you can make it better. You can make it better for them because you can customize their education, and they're definitely not able to get that in big groups of educating kids, right? You just can't do that in
Hmm.
the public school system, no
It's
matter how
true.
many special classes you have or education plans or anything like that. um, so the yeah, so I kind of started that with just our kids are watching us work, and it's gosh, if you just need any inspiration and talking through on how you can make it work, how you can still make money from home. Maybe you're working outside the home, and you just can't see how that can work, how you can come home. Like, there are ways, and I've been through that experience of I need to find a way to work from home. I
Hmm.
didn't before my kids, but when I made that decision, when before my second child was born, who's 15, right? My husband and I made that decision that we're not having kids just so we can have somebody else raise them. And it's a little bit what what the public school, and anytime you're sending them away for that many hours, they're getting raised in
By
some
someone else.
yeah, and it may not be with your values, and if it's in public school, most likely not with your values. It's not saying anything about the teachers or how they're leading a classroom. That's saying that for the most part, you have kids raising kids. their biggest influence is the other kids.
Hmm.
And it's great to have kids, it's great to have friends, but not as your main influence, right? Not as what they're doing to, the socializing together, and the really, that is not a great scene, that socializing. So and and then I'll go around in a circle back to this article, seeing how homeschooling actually really improves socializing, because socializing is not about being with kids all your same age, and that's the majority of what kids will get in any institutional setting, or at least elementary, well, in high school as well, right? It's almost all the same age, and we want our kids to be more well-rounded than that, right? Not to just
Yeah.
be able to have a good conversation with kids of their same age. So
Yeah.
um so that's about it. I think we can probably wrap this up, unless there's anything
Hmm.
that's popped into your mind, Christine.
Nope, I think we covered it all.
All
I
right,
see
so
all
we
the
have
points we covered.
great. And we've got another live stream in
In
another
two
2 weeks,
weeks.
and it's a mystery. We're going to figure it out. We don't have that scheduled yet. So there's been a
No.
couple options, but we don't actually have that scheduled. So I can't tell you what it is, but it's going to be good, whatever it is.
So just be here.
Yep. All right. Bye for now.
Bye.